Hey movers and shapers, welcome to day 2 of our Melt Your Middle, Break the Cycles workshop. I'm gonna, oh, look, I've got my Bucks shirt on. Yay, I think we might be champs again. We'll see. And as usual, I'm gonna refer to my notes. Might not need them, didn't really seem to need them yesterday, but now I'm gonna share my screen. So wait, yeah, share screen. I'm gonna pull up the PowerPoint. Okay, I have to move that slideshow from beginning. Oh, for Pete's sakes. I suppose one of these days I'll figure out how to do this more smoothly. Okay. All right, here we are. Melt your middle, break the cycles, day 2. Come on, where's my little clicker? Hey. There we are, day 2. Stress and your body, adrenals, and cortisol. But before we jump into that, let's do a little recap of yesterday. Okay, ghrelin tells us when we're hungry. Okay, I didn't know these were all one at a time. Leptin lives in our fat and tells us when to stop eating. If there's too much leptin, we're leptin insensitive or leptin resistant, and our body doesn't recognize it. We won't be satisfied and we overeat, resulting in more fat, which is more leptin. Let's not forget, I don't think I put this, okay, regulate blood sugars to burn fat, decrease leptin, and increase leptin sensitivity. And I did not, okay, there we are. Also need to reduce stress. I'm jumping ahead. Okay, so that's the recap of those cycles. We've got the ghrelin leptin cycle, the blood sugar insulin cycle. When we regulate blood sugars, we burn fat, we reduce insulin response, which also stops us from storing fat, which gives us less places for leptin to live or exist, whatever. When we reduce stress and sleep better, we don't increase the leptin. So when ghrelin's released from the stomach to tell us we're hungry, the leptin responds accordingly, tells us we're full, and then we can continue to not store fat, to burn it and not store it, to not add it. And like I said yesterday, it works. I've been doing this for over 20 years and I see it happen. You just got to know it. Have you ever heard that before? I don't know. Today we're going to be talking about adrenals and cortisol. Now let me get to this next slide. Cortisol is a part of the stress response. You know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me get out of share. Okay, let me just talk to you for a second. We'll go back into share in a second. Okay, stress and how it affects our body, and what happens when this cortisol released, and how does that affect this next cycle, stress in our bodies? All right, there are many types of stress. Everyone has different stress levels. We respond differently to stress. Some of us manage our stress better, but we all live with stress. There's emotional stress, there's physical stress, and there's psychological, and there's chemical stress like alcohol, medications, sugar. Sugar causes stress to the body. Exercise, as good as it is for the body, causes stress to the body. There's also so those are different types of stress. Then there's different levels of stress. So let me give you an example of this. Going into my kitchen and seeing a sink full of dishes causes a certain level of stress, and this is something I need to get done. If you have a list of things to do and you're not checking anything off, that causes a level of stress. You know, you kind of get that little oof in your stomach. Sometimes people experience stress on Sunday nights when they think about having to go to work the next day, or when a meeting's coming up, or if they have to do public speaking. There's that uncomfortable, and there's a little bit of an adrenal response. Then there's the type of stress that is almost more like a fight or flight response. And that's when maybe a deer cuts out in front of you and you have to slam on your brakes and you're like, oh my gosh, and you feel the adrenaline in your system. You feel that in your mouth. It gets a little flavor in your mouth and you're flushed and you're blood pressure goes up and your blood sugars drop. I mean, there's a physical noticeable response. That's a much higher level of stress. Then there's a level of stress that is constant, whether it's a high stress job or you're going through a divorce or someone's dying, there's a sickness in the family, someone close to you, or being fired from a job, being unemployed, marital problems, financial problems, where it's just this constant underlying stressful, buying a house, even though it's good, getting married, even though it's good, it's stressful. So see these different levels. There's kind of like the dishes and the to-dos that are kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Then there's the more little bit next level. I have to give a speech. I have to do public speaking, and you're nervous right beforehand, or anytime you think about it, it's like, oh, every time you think. Then there's the constant, and then there's that traumatic where someone cuts in front of you, or, I'm not going to say someone holds a gun to your head, but that kind of thing, fight or flight. So your body responds to them, and it's your adrenals, your adrenal glands that respond. Now, your adrenals respond accordingly to the level and type of stress. Like I said, when it's that fight or flight, it's full response. Your body is in full fight mode, and that's when you taste it in your mouth, and your blood pressure drops, and increases. I'm sorry, your blood sugars drop. And it's interesting then, because once you come out of that, you're usually hungry. I want to eat something, or I need a drink. You want alcohol, you want sugar, you want ice cream, you want pasta, carbs, something. That's because your blood sugars crashed. And if you watched yesterday, what did I tell you? When your blood sugars crash, you're gonna want something to spike those blood sugars. I'm telling you, your body's coming at you from many different ways, but the truth of the matter is it's all to protect you, but you have to learn how to interfere in some of these responses to support a healthy metabolism and to support healthy fat around your middle, visceral fat. All right. So because I'm referring to my notes again, so because all these different types of stress are pounded at your adrenal constantly, there's constantly a response. And what does this cause? Adrenal fatigue. You've all heard about it. Stress causes adrenal fatigue. This causes weight gain, added visceral fat around the middle, fluctuating blood sugars, just talked about that. And there you go. Okay, those are in these notes. Let me look at my other notes. Stress, adrenal fatigue, weight gain, increased fat, fluctuation. Okay, emotional, physical, chemical. Oh, here's a fact. I want to throw it out here while I'm reading it. We need to watch what we're eating for sure, because that's what supports the adrenals, the leptin, the ghrelin, the blood sugars, the insulin, all of that. But if you're eating healthy during stressful times, you could still gain weight, because you could be losing muscle if you are not eating enough protein. So you can be eating healthy, but you might not be eating the right things to support what your body's going through during stress. So you can eat well, but you got to know how to eat well. All right, I'm not going to get into managing stress yet. That's in my takeaway. We'll put that over there. All right, where's my other one here? Stress, my other notes. Ooh, those are good ones. Oh, you guys, I just don't want to miss anything. There's so much information to share. All right, so let me see here. Everyone has and deals with stress differently. We know emotional. Okay, talked about that. I'm going to read it though, because it's a recap of what I just said. I like the way it says. Stress has a direct correlation to the foods you eat and crave. It is also one of the biggest contributions to excess fat. Stress is one of the biggest contributions to excess fat, especially around the midsection. Your best efforts at eating properly will be undermined if you don't manage your stress. You will still have adipose, which is fat tissue, around your midsection where the leptin lives. So we have to manage stress. to make the good eating actually effective. But it's easy to do, you guys. Don't let all this overwhelm you. This is why I've got my little program, which I'll talk about later. We put it all in place, step by step by step. Okay, so I talked about that. Almond-shaped neurons, temporal lobes. We're going to get to the cortisol. Talked about fight or flight. Dangerous stress range spikes your blood sugars, which we know we're trying to avoid. All right, let's get to the cortisol. So when we have this fight or flight response, our adrenals release cortisol. Cortisol is called the stress hormone. Cortisol, when released, doesn't just, now the cortisol increases the blood sugar and it raises blood pressure, inhibits, I said the wrong thing before. I said your blood sugars crash. It increases blood sugars. And that's why, in the fight or flight response, it increases blood sugars. When you settle down, your blood sugars crash, and that's when you're hungry. Okay. It inhibits insulin production, lowers immune response. So this inhibited insulin production means when the stress causes your blood sugar to spike, the insulin's not going to lower it. Excess levels of cortisol in your bloodstream will spark your cravings and promote fat storage, especially around the midsection. Here we go again. Research from Yale shows that fat cells around the stomach have the most cortisol receptors. Come here, come here, come here. Meaning they attract cortisol, giving you a layer of toxic fat in your abdominal area. During this time of stress, the body also becomes less sensitive to leptin, which we talked about yesterday, which affects our body's ability to manage hunger and satiety. See where this is all coming together now? To make matters worse, our brain may magnify the pleasure we obtain from high-carb foods and sweets because they're a source of quick energy that the brain looks for when we are stressed. Coming together. All right, we are talking about adrenal fatigue. Here's some signs. Oh, here, let me get back in here to my shared screen. There we are. So here's the stress response. The adrenal glands, you get adrenaline, which you're breathing fast, converts glycogen to glucose. There's the high blood sugar spike, increased blood pressure. I'm not really talking about tunnel vision, but yes, that can happen. Acceleration of heart rate, your digestion slows down and you start sweating and cortisol is released. Come on, slide. There we go. This is my image of this abdominal visceral fat that we keep talking about. It stores around our organs and it's the hardest fat to get rid of. The way my programs work, we target this visceral fat first, and then the rest of the fat just melts off like crazy. So let me tell you something real quick. Visceral fat comes from the stress, the cortisol, the overeating, and the high carb food. Body fat, surface fat, comes from consuming too much bad fat in the diet. So we want to consume good fats like olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, walnut oil, because they support body function. They support our joints, they support brain health. I'm not going to get into good fats right now, but excess of that fat is easier to lose. Excess fat from bad carbs and stress and leptin and overeating all goes here around our organs. Let me tell you something. When we focus on that, that's when we shrink. We shrink, and then the secondary fat we lose is all the surface fat, and we smooth out. So we shrink and then we smooth. It's such an amazing process. And you know you've lost that visceral fat because you have control over your abs. When you are exercising and working out, you feel them. You feel your muscles. You guys, crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. This is supposed to say, there's supposed to be a title on here. There it is. Signs of adrenal fatigue. Sorry, I'm not gifted in the PowerPoint area. I'm looking forward to the day where I can hire somebody to do all that for me and I can just coach you, do what I love best. Cook, eat, coach, do my YouTube videos. But anyway, all right, signs of adrenal fatigue. I am going to read this, and I did list this. And if you want to screenshot it or take a picture with your phone, it's good to know. And I'll tell you what, I'm healthy and I do a lot of things to keep my adrenals healthy. And I still suffer from some of these. It's difficult, but I'm human. I do a good job of living healthy, but I enjoy some indulgences on occasion. And I know they're direct correlation with this. So signs of adrenal fatigue: cravings for salty or sweet, heightened PMS symptoms, depression, decreased energy, fatigue even after you've slept, inability to deal with stress, muscle weakness, decreased libido, constipation, disturbed sleep, decreased memory, slow recovery from exercise or illness or anything. It just takes a while to recover, and irritability. Hopefully you don't have all of these, but you might see a couple, and you're going to know if you've got adrenal fatigue. You know how highly stressed you are or aren't. So, I'm not going to get into that even. I'm not going to go into that any further. So really the only way to send the correct signal to your body so it release that extra fat and inches and support your adrenals is to lower your stress burden, lower the glycemic index of foods, change your stress response, acknowledge it and change it. And I'll give you some takeaways for that today, but there's really good mind training that needs to be done. And then give your adrenals more support. Okay. This is how you give your adrenals that support. All right. I have more slides. So you need to reduce your stress, to reduce adrenal response, to reduce cortisol response, to reduce the cravings of salty and sweet, to reduce the fat storage. Also, you need to regulate blood sugars. This is going to be a constant theme through all three of these. How do you reduce stress? Here's your takeaways. Here's a way to take a picture too. Identify and be aware of your stress triggers. Recognize and identify how your body responds. Know that, okay, somebody just cut out in front of me, my blood sugars are going to spike, then they're going to crash, and I'm going to be craving. I am not going to give in to the food that my brain is telling me to eat. I'm going to have something healthy. Do some deep breathing. I'm skipping ahead. Do some meditation, pray. All those are kind of on the bottom there. Massage, pampering, reading, exercising, relaxing. Here's one: better time management. A lot of times, one big stressor for people is they're not good time managers. So they're always feeling behind and they're always running and they always don't think they have enough time in the day. And slow down. Manage your time. Be aware of saying yes too often. Say no if you have to. Get consistent, good sleep. Next week, we're going to be talking about stress and sleep, the importance of sleep and how to get good sleep. But that's important. Limit your phone and social media time. All of these things can reduce stress. Spend deliberate time walking in nature. Journaling is huge. Journal what you're eating. Journal how you're feeling about certain things. Have a stress journal. And then be grateful. Oh my gosh, I didn't put that on here. Gratitude is a great stress reducer. Start a gratitude journal. All of these little things can reduce stress. And yes, we do need to establish new habits, but it can be done a little at a time. All right. I want you to know that this is possible. Eat foods that reduce stress. Berries are amazing. My new favorite, gooseberries. If you didn't see my reel, oh my gosh, they're so good. You can get them at some of the stores. They're called golden berries. I love them. I should have had them here with me. Green vegetables, green leafy vegetables, broccoli, kale, spinach, lettuces, all the different types of lettuces, peppers, green peppers. Turkey is great because it's got tryptophan in it, which is a stress reducer. Sweet potatoes, avocados, and nuts. And these are all also very good foods, low glycemic foods, so you won't store fat. Before I talk about this, I want to go back. I want to go back one. I want to mention this. Oh shoot, it's over here. Hold on. And I'm going to talk about this more. This isn't meant to be like a sales pitch or anything like that, but I do have to mention that there are supplements that do target what we're talking about. I didn't talk about the one yesterday that targets our leptin receptors and makes us leptin receptive. It's called Core. I'm going to put links to both of these, or I did put them in the email with an explanation. And we can talk about them more if you're interested more. Like I said, I don't want this to be real sales pitchy, but you do need to know that if you really want to do this and you're afraid that you can't do it through food, there are supplements that target it. So Core targets leptin, ACTS targets adrenal, cortisol, thyroid, and stress support. And I do take them both because I eat well, but I know I'm 62 years old. And as we age, our ability to deal with stress, our ability to burn fat, muscle retention, things start changing. I need all the help I can get. And I do know that when I use them, I am satisfied sooner from a leptin ghrelin standpoint, and I am less fluffy from a body fat standpoint when it comes to my stress support. I also have a better stress response. But I'm going to get into more details about those and everything else in my April 20th Full Body Transformation Burning Fat 24/7 program. I can't say enough about this program because I love it and I love the transformation people get from it. What we focus on is blood sugar stabilization because that's the beginning and end of all of these cycles. That's where it starts, and it takes 12 weeks to do it. You lay the foundation in 30 days to regulating blood sugars. You gain momentum when you add 4 weeks on. You gain momentum in 8 weeks, and then you feel like you're a fat burning machine, and you know you've got momentum. You know stuff is going on in your body. You feel it, but that full body transformation comes in those last 4 weeks. The first 4 weeks really focus on low glycemic impact eating and getting your body in fat burning mode. So you are a fat burning machine. The next 4 weeks really deal with mind transformation, forming habits, understanding all of these cycles, believing in yourself and believing in your body to respond the way it's supposed to if you do what you're supposed to. So it's the habits, believing in yourself, overcoming obstacles and dealing with stress, recognizing and how to deal with these things. This is what takes us into full transformation in those last 12 weeks. Then we talk about results, lifetime results, how you stick with it, how you keep the results for life, and how you can be a lean, mean, fat burning machine, still go out to eat, still have those cocktails, still have that ice cream sundae, indulge at the parties, socialize, and not have it affect you. You know how kids are. They can eat a whole freaking trick or treat basket full of candy and burn that stuff off the next day. Doesn't even affect them. We can be like that. Maybe not quite that effective, but pretty dang close. And we teach you how to stay that way. So anyway, that's my full body transformation. It starts April 20th. Get on the wait list because everybody on my wait list is going to get the notification when the cart is open first. So you're going to get first dibs on the fast acting specials. And I'm limiting the class to 20. So, you want first dibs. So get on the wait list. They get it first. The next day I open it up to all my subscribers, and then it goes on social media after that. The cart's not going to be open long either. So anyway, so that's that. I want to thank you for being here. Tomorrow we're going to do day 3, and it's going to be the importance of sleep and how sleep affects stress, which affects the cortisol and the fat storage and the ghrelin and the leptin and the blood sugars. Oh my gosh, it's going to all come together tomorrow. You guys, thanks for joining me for day 2. I'll see you tomorrow on day 3. I'm going to stop the share so I can say goodbye. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. One more.